Now, if you're dumb is watching this video, then you probably have no clue how to play this game. Maybe you keep on dying, but whatever the reason is, I realized that it's quite hard to teach somebody Decaying Winter, as I realized that it's quite hard of a game to even explain, let alone teach. So today, I'll be giving you my Decaying Winter 101. Perks is essentially sort of like your ability, what you're good and what you're bad at. And it's unique to every single class. Essentially, they all do different things. Now there's 4 different types of classes. Or perks, sorry. And there's basic, support, frontline, and backline are the 4 sort of main categories. Basic perks are kind of generic. They don't really have anything good to them. Support, as you would imagine, is support. Frontline, you stay in the front. In the back, you're not necessarily supposed to be doing be up front and be a fighter, but you're more or less helping the front line. I would suggest you experiment with yourself and see what type of player you are, and usually the best perk that fits with you and your play style is the perk that you're probably gonna like the most. Now I shall go over every single perk and essentially what it does. Survivalist, or also known as the basic bit,
what?
Is nothing. Kinda. You don't have any special abilities. You have 0 flaws to you, which I guess is good. At the start of every match, you start off with a backpack, which gives you 2 extra slots. You are fully, full, I suppose. That's the word. You're fully full in hunger and thirst. And so that you get extra movement speed and you take less damage, but only in the beginning of the match. And also 10 extra scrap, so 20 scrap at the beginning of the match. Damned. Oh, you better lube up your asshole, boy, because welcome to Damned. The most, you play this perk if you're either a masochist or you want to be sent to hell. Now, this class is the survivalist, but much worse. You are pretty much worse at everything. You start off with 0 scrap. You have no food. Your only ability is that you don't take morale, which is something I'll explain later, but pretty much it's a debuff. So it's only good in team, sorta if you're not playing solo. If you're playing solo, it's worthless. And have fun being Hawkeye for the next 5 years, because this is the only viable weapon that you'll be using for the next 5 years. Profit. Pretty much shitty ESP hacks that allow you to see everything on the map, including enemies. And if it does detect an enemy, it weakens them by, I think, 25 HP. Hive Mind, also known as the new perk, is essentially bugs. You send cancer bugs that make people vomit and give them diseases, and then they die. That's literally it. Risk Runner. Minigun go. And collecting ammo around the maps gives you more ammo for your minigun, which makes no sense, but I'm not gonna question it. Tick Spider. Explosive spiders. So, Australia DLC. Crosslink. You have knives and you can chuck it at people, and then if you retract them back, it kills them because it pulls back the knife. And pretty much it's just setups traps. Blitzer, the Alak Bar perk. Good at killing both you and your teammates. Artillerist. Arbiter, the Ultra Kill reference. And if you time it correctly, you can shoot an RPG out of your ass. Executioner. Also shitty ESP, except with the added bonus for every single kill you get, the more damage you do. Drifter. The British class. Pretty much you just stab things. And also the former terrorist. Apostle. And you can have 2 Daves on the battlefield at the same time. Vagabond. I feel like this is... I got the power of God and enemy on my side. And every single kill, your blade recharges faster and you go faster. Berserker. Every single kill you get gives you health. Zealot. You use this perk usually when you want to cheese Sludge Queen. And it's the fattest character possible. It has a turret. That's really it. Lazarus. The most overpowered perk in this game, which is a walking hemostatic Xaniston. Immolator. I guess they got a little bit too crispy. I mean, you have 2 attacks, you have a flamethrower, and you're basically a Molotov cocktail. And you buff your enemies and light enemies on fire. Sovereign. Another one of the slave owner perks is, yeah, you chuck a dagger at enemies and, they turn into your slaves, and if you kill them, they turn into these little pink guys, and the more of them die, the more of them they get marked. You can mark enemies by pressing F, and you can also shove them to get them marked. And you can also sacrifice some of your blood, your HP, to throw out more knives. Mind Flayer. I mean, you mind control enemies. As long as you do a little bit of damage, you can mind control them, and then they pretty much work for you. Scrapping. Scrapping is pretty much the most used and important mechanic that you will be using in this game. Scrapping and crafting. Now, what is this mechanic? Essentially, you can turn unwanted items into this scrapper machine, which looks like this, and they're put in set locations. And if you scrap things, you'll gain, well, scrap. This scrap can then be used to craft blueprints. How do you craft blueprints? Well, you need a certain amount of scrap that they require, which is 50 or 100, depending on the item, and a workbench. These workbenches are spawned in set locations, but they tend to swap around the map, so they usually never stay in the same place. So what you require is scrap and the blueprint, and you press E. You press E with the blueprint in your hand and on the workbench, and then if you press E again, then you can craft the item if you have the required scrap. Why this is important is it gives you access to some of the more versatile and the better weapons in this game that are usually really hard to find typically. This is like the normal method that you would probably use to get like overpowered items, but you do want to prioritize different things. Like, let's say if you have a bunch of healing items, you can scrap some healing items that are in excess that you don't need. There's a bunch of rules of like some ideas of what not to scrap. Like, usually healing items are pretty rare. There's combat stimulants, which like the I4S and S44 cocktail are pretty rare, so you should probably keep them. With time you'll get used to like the scrapping mechanic and the crafting mechanic. So Decaying Winter is a balance between looting, scrapping, and crafting. I'll be talking about one of the more annoying mechanics in this game, morale, essentially punishing you if you die. This mechanic essentially debuffs you by 10% in all of the key stats for dying, including speed, attack damage, and also defense. It can be cured by either waiting it out for 5 minutes, taking the yellow stimulant, or just killing yourself. So it is best advised to stay alive. However, there are situations where killing yourself might be a optimal strategy, especially in a big group. However, you have to keep in mind that morale is active and it doesn't apply to one person. If it's 5 of you and 1 person dies, it will affect everybody else, except for the person who died. Now we'll move on to equipments. Equipments are essentially just small stuff to help you in your aid. They're not really that useful, and they have a limited amount of uses per night as they regenerate, which can range from throwing knives to bear traps to hard drugs. And they help you in your survival in some sort of way. Traits are essentially traits. They give your character a certain buff depending on which traits you pick. There are a few suggested traits, like Fearless usually is a very prominent one. Paranoid is also very popular among many of the perks. Essentially, your goal with traits is to supplement the downfalls of your character. Like, let's say you have a bad accuracy rate, you can pick the Professional trait, which gives you higher accuracy when scoping in. Alright, that's it. That is my 101 guide. I hope you found this enjoyable, and honestly, this took way too long. If you're wondering why my voice suddenly sounded different right at the end, that's because I'm a dumb bitch. Alright. And in the end, you won't get anywhere if you don't fucking play the game. So I hope that you continue to play this game. I had my fun with it, and I still play it on occasion. And I hope to see you there.